And welcome to another episode of A Guy, a Hoosier, and a Hillbilly Walk into a Treble Clef. I'm Hoosier.
I'm Hillbilly.
And I'm Guy Actual.
And welcome to today's episode. We're going to be talking about dun 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 music.
Yes.
What kind of music do y'all like?
Well, I'm Hillbilly. I'll start off. So I like many genres of music. My most favorite would have to be 80s metal, 80s and 90s metal, followed by um, acid music, as well as some other paranoid genres. What about you, Guy Actual?
So I followed a band actually for a couple of years, a small band called Fish. Don't get me wrong, I love Fish, but they're not my favorite. I just had a really good time following them. My soul really lays in jazz. A lot of old bebop, all the way up into some of the more modern jazz. Rock, love some rock. Love some good country music. Yeah, I'm really across the board. Not that big onto the R&B and rap side though. So
I agree. I'm across the board, but I do listen to some R&B and some rap. I will also say I find some of the things out there really interesting, like the two cellos that do some of the heavier metal music on two cellos. If you have not seen it, it's awesome. You can watch it. But, I go back, when I was a kid, I grew up on country music. My favorite song to put on repeat, and back in the day, repeat was a lot harder because it was on 8 tracks, was Johnny Horton's Sink the Bismarck.
mm,
Great song, has some history in it. It had a good little beat as a kid, right? The first, I can't say album I ever owned because it was an 8 track that I ever owned was Kiss Destroyer. So, had to break away from the parents, right? Had to get into something else. And then, I was into all sorts of music. The hair bands um, were, of course, huge for me. Poison, Def Leppard, uh, Winger, Warrant, all of those were great. And I can go even further. My brother was a huge audiophile, and he had records and the best radio, and his room was below mine. And he would get up in the morning and just blast, you know, uh, Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. So I'd wake up to the helicopters.
nice.
What's a song that you remember from your childhood, Hillbilly, or your younger years?
I got it from my dad. Pink Floyd and the whole '60s was really, really big for me. Um, Lots of things back then, but I would say Pink Floyd's The Wall was the first album that I ever bought with my own money, much to my mom's disapproval. And that album, I would say I listened to repeat for probably a year every single day. Um, but I also had a brother that influenced me heavily in music, and he actually got me on the movie Heavy Metal. So if you guys remember that movie, it came out in '81, that would be the next biggest thing. The Doors and Zeppelin would have to be the next ones. Really followed by Metallica. Kill 'Em All was a huge instrumental album for me. What about you, Guy?
So songs from my youth. Wow. I think the first song that I remember just absolutely loving, and this is going to sound ridiculous because I bet nobody knows this song, was written by Tom T. Hall back in 1977, a year before. No, well, I'm not going to throw that around. It was actually, I think, in 1974 when he came out with it. Um, but it's called Sneaky Snake. And as a kid, it was, I don't know, it just stuck in my heart because I always thought Sneaky Snake was going to sneak up and steal my root beer. Um, I loved it as a kid. Now, as I went on and I grew up, of course, my trends changed. The first album I ever purchased was actually on a CD. We didn't have a lot, single mother who was a teacher with two kids and a lot of bills and a lot of overhead. So the first album was Pearl Jam's 10, actually.
Mm.
And I love that. I still love that album, actually. I think it's one of their best. Um, then the next album was Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then and interesting enough, somewhere after that, I was gifted a cassette of Vanilla Ice, of all things. Yeah. But then from there, I really I got into some alternative, whatever was on the radio, and then I discovered jazz. Uh, Charlie Parker individually, or initially, then moved on to Thelonious Monk, went into Charlie Parker, and after Charlie Parker, went into Miles Davis, and then after that was John Coltrane. John Coltrane was the end of it, right? Coltrane was by far my favorite. Holds a place in my heart. Kind of blue album, just
So
yeah.
you talked about Vanilla Ice.
Oh,
When that
gosh.
song first came on the radio, I was like, they're playing Queen?
Yes.
Because of my brother, that music was always played, right? And I was like, that's Under Pressure.
Yep.
And they're like, no, this is Vanilla Ice. He actually had to buy the rights to that song.
I didn't know that.
He owns the rights to Under Pressure because, he basically stole the bass line,
Yeah.
That whole
had one extra beat in it, I think.
Yeah, that was Under Pressure. So I found that interesting that he ended up doing the right thing and going and just saying, look, guys, just sell me the rights.
One of my best friends went to high school with him, just south of Dallas. I think he was in Oak Cliff, I think it was, or somewhere in that area. He knows him from high school. Said he was a punk then, and he's a punk now.
Queen was absolutely instrumental in my life. Queen, actually, I Want to Break Free, was the very first music video I ever saw in my entire life. It was the very first one, and I thought it was awesome. The music just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Not radio?
Not radio. I love radio, though. Radio Gaga.
Our high school graduation song was We Are the Champions. So
nice.
That's what we chose to play as our graduation song. Now, my senior year, music controversy. We wanted to base our prom on a song by Moody Blues called Nights in White Satin.
Great song.
Excellent song.
A certain demographic that shall remain theirs did not like that song because they swore it referred to certain idiots that run around with white hoods on their head.
Yeah.
So there was a long debate, a long fight, and we ended up losing that fight. But yeah, that was an interesting understanding of music differences and kind of my first understanding of, wow, you can get your nose out of joint about anything. Just listen to the song.
There's a video on it, so
it has nothing to do with people running around with hoods on their head. It had everything to do with
love.
That's a word for it.
As long as you're going that route, the PMRC with Twisted Sister when Tipper Gore
Oh,
wanted to put all the ratings on the albums. That one got me up in arms. I will say I had to write an essay on that because I was totally against the PMRC.
and and if you look back historically, you know, if you didn't have that explicit warning on your album after all of that went down, uh, you weren't going gold really. You weren't
Yes.
hitting platinum. It was a badge of honor at one point. And I'll tell you this: when Twisted Sisters sat down in front of Congress and talked to them, that was one of the greatest moments that ever happened in Washington D.C. in my opinion, because he stood there and he owned every person in that audience uh, like a champion.
He was educated and he thought everybody
I
thought he was just a dumb bum.
mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, it's crazy when you look at some of these people and they're like, oh, look at him, he's some, and then you go back and find out they hold a doctorate's degree from, Berkeley or something, and people are like, what? Yeah, that's a smart person. You just didn't know it because you judged the book by its cover, didn't you?
Indeed.
Like Flea from Red Hot
Oh,
Chili Peppers. He's got
so
his.
brilliant.
I shouldn't be wrong on this, but I believe he's got a doctorate in music. Um,
PhD.
PhD, yeah. I mean, music. Dude, that's the thing about music. It's open to interpretation, but you can never question the motives of the writer. I mean, let's face it, Master of Puppets from Metallica was written out of anger in like 20 minutes in a bathroom stall, uh,
Well,
allegedly.
and we were talking about Queen earlier. If I'm not wrong, uh, Brian Brian
Fine.
May from that group
Yeah,
has a PhD in astrophysics.
He does.
yeah.
And would anybody look at him and think that?
No. Well,
No.
maybe.
Huge human rights activist. He was prolific in stopping fox hunts. Very smart guy, very nice guy, extremely nice. Some of these guys, they may look crazy on stage like Alice Cooper, but they are the sweetest people you will meet sometimes. Not all the time, but Alice Cooper, you can find him off stage at a golf course and he'll talk to you. Or Lemmy from Motorhead. I mean, if you sat down next to him, he would talk to you all day long and you would forget that he was the front man of a traveling band.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that probably one of the truest moments in a movie that was ridiculous was in Wayne's World with Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
When they set to start talking to him, they were just kind of like, we're not worthy, Guy's brilliant.
absolutely. So I guess what's the question? What would be your guys' go-to song to get frustration out?
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies. Ah. I mean, I used to listen to that playing first-person shooters. That was what was blaring in my headphones 90% of the time. But it's a great song just to freaking let it out and let it go and just.
Love it. What about you?
That's a tough call. It really just depends on the scenario. Am I driving? If I'm driving, then it's probably going to be Fish's Slave to the Traffic Light. If I'm at home and it's after work, I'm probably going to turn to some Charles Mingus. Um, if I'm still working and I have to get something out, um, yeah, that's going to be a variable. I don't know that it's safe for me to say here because I might be falling right in line with Hoosier on that.
No, I got two. It depends on my aggression level. But if I'm really stressed out and really upset, it would have to be Megadeth's "Into the Lungs of Hell" from their "So Far So
Oh,
Good So What" album.
So
It's
good.
instrumental. It's completely instrumental, but it just gets me going every time. And then the other one would have to be Metallica's Damage Incorporated. Um, I think it's a very underrated song of theirs, but it is just so intense um,
Uh,
that it just blows my mind.
a song by Metallica that I think most people hate, but that I really like is "And Justice for All."
Hmm,
Great album.
I can see
I
that.
I mean, just it's I don't know why there's such a reaction to it, but I really like it. It was, I mean, it got me through some tough times in high school, so you know, I could definitely say that. Now, so we've asked the frustration one. What's the one song that you hear that every time you hear it, you just choke up? And I really have two that if I hear them, they just get to me right away. Uh,
Hillbilly, why don't you go first on this, Hillbilly?
So it's two. Um, the one that chokes me up the most, and I will tear up every time. Tears will be flowing. Is Benny King's "Stand by Me." That song, yeah, I just tears flow with that song. I love it. The other one would have to be Sting's "Field of Gold." That one has a very special meaning to my heart. It's very personal to me. Yeah, that one just gets me going every time.
Guy,
I So the number one song that gets me and touches my heart is, and it's going to be kind of cliche here, um, but it's from when I lived in Hawaii. Uh, Israel, uh, Kamaka Wiwu, if I'm remembering the name.
Over the Rainbow?
Kamaka. Yes, it is. That one, and strangely enough, Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know why, but Bohemian Rhapsody, just the lyrics touch my heart. Uh,
mine are a little bit more. I don't know, a little bit more close to home for me for multiple reasons. But Tim McGraw's "If You're Reading This," if you have not heard that song, I don't care if you like country or not. If you're a vet,
yeah.
it'll hit you home. And the other one is Brantley Gilbert, and shout out to Brantley uh, if he's listening to this. That's awesome. But one hell of an amen. That song, if that doesn't make your chest tighten up just a little, uh, I don't know if you have a heart, man. That song is just a killer hit right in your midsection. And
So I got to add one more. Um, Tim McGraw,
mhm.
Don't Take the Girl.
Don't Take the Girl is a great song. If I'm talking personal songs that don't make me cry but are very personal, Austin
Oh
is
gosh, yes.
a very personal song for me. It has to do with my current wife, and long story, but I won't go into it too far. But yeah, and to make sure we're talking about the same Austin, I'm talking Blake Shelton's Austin.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
So there are other songs out there about it, but you know that's the one I'm talking about.
So I got a question after I add this one Get Out the Aggression song that I completely forgot. And I'm actually upset about it because I actually own the damn album. Is Suicidal Tendencies. You Can't Bring Me Down. The
Hmm.
unedited version. Uh, that would be the other one. Okay, so we've done aggression, we've done touching at the heartstrings. What song makes you laugh, makes you giggle? For me, it's Chuck Berry's My Ding-a-ling. That one, I'm sorry, the junior high kid in me always comes out. I laugh every time I hear it.
Uh, for me, There's two that I can think of. The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk.
Oh yeah.
That song, and she started naming names. Every time I hear that, I just, I smile and I giggle. Um, Another one that I really like that just kind of puts me in a good mood and makes me smile is Old Red. That song can just it makes you smile. It's a Blake Shelton song, right? And it's just you're kind of like, I like it. I like the whole 9 yards of it. You know, hey, he shot a man in '99. You know, put him in jail, and then he uses the dog to get out of jail. Love got me in here, love got me out. It's just, I don't know, sadistic side of me, I guess.
So, which ones make me laugh? Um, Probably my favorite song to give me a good. I don't even know if it's a laugh, but just makes me feel happy inside is Weird Al Yankovic, "Party in the CIA,"
Okay.
or possibly, and you guys might not know who this guy is because it's a little bit older, but Ray Stevens,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
there's a couple songs that he did. The Streak was okay. Um, some
That's
more.
that's. I'm pretty sure that's who sings "The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk."
Very well could be. I'd actually
Yeah,
have to
race.
look.
Yeah,
Is it?
that's Ray Stevens. Yeah, it's called the Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Is the name
First
of the actual song.
Nice. What makes you laugh?
me makes
Uh,
me laugh. Well, besides Chuck Berry's "My Thing," it would have to be the Fender. This is not many people know it these days. The Fenderman's Mule Skinner Blues, and it's kind of like a folk bluegrass with some yodeling in it, and I just find it hilarious.
you might like Fish's "Scent of a Mule" then. It's pretty fun.
I haven't heard fish in years. I got fished out. No pun intended.
I hear you. It's easy. It's easy to happen. So.
Nowadays, all we talk about every day is fishing. Oh
Oh
wait,
yeah.
and it's even spelled the same way.
It is.
So
It is.
going down to about fish, what about oh golly, what is it? The mollusk? Who the heck did the mollusk? Uh what's that? It's like Primus. It's not
Mastodon?
Ween. Ween.
Ween.
Yeah.
Ween. Oh goodness, you talk Ween, then I start thinking Weezer. Um,
Oh, Weezer was good too.
Weezer is still good.
Weezer's
Still.
still. I'm just saying that it's word correlation there, right?
So Weezer may, in the long run, turn out to be the greatest cover band of all time.
I agree.
Oh,
I absolutely agree. And
great
they've
covers.
morphed through the years.
So, I mean, and if you haven't seen Weezer's "Take Me On" version, uh, it's really good.
Love it.
So to those listening, drop in the notes. What's your favorite cover and by who?
Yes.
I'm just curious. Mine right now is still Johnny Cash's cover of "Hurt" by Nine Inch Nails. I man, he dropped it. He laid it all out there for you.
So good. It is. That's a good song.
My favorite cover is it's so Cyndi Lauper originally did it, but I don't really care for her version. I actually care for Celine Dion's version. So it's "I Drove All Night." Love that cover.
Now, a cover that just happened that we were talking about a little bit earlier was, oh my goodness, uh, covered the Tracy Chapman song.
Oh,
Um,
Luke Combs.
Luke Combs, his cover of Faster, right?
Fast car, yeah.
Fast car. Whew. Sorry, I totally lost that one. You know, too much alcohol. Wait, I don't drink. Too much oxygen? Not enough oxygen. One of those things. But yeah, that was a pretty good one. What about you, you guy? What's your favorite cover?
So I think right now, um, I think it would be, Weezer once again, and it might be. I think it's Mr. Blue Sky. I would have to say
Nice.
Weezer's cover of Mr. Blue Sky.
So here's one. Earworms.
Oh,
What's a song that you just hear a part of and it's stuck in your head forever?
all right. You ready for this? The theme song for Bluey.
Love it, love it. Bluey family here.
Yep.
Adoptive healer, absolutely. Uh, you know,
Every night at bedtime, we're gonna have a couple of Blueys going on. So can't wait for the next season. If you don't watch Bluey, it's not just a kid's show. If you do watch Bluey, I'd love to see that in the chat. What's your favorite Bluey moment?
Bluey is definitely not just a kid's show. It's absolutely for the adults. If you want to see how bad of a parent you are, watch Bluey. Bluey's dad, man, he was better. He's better than I am.
Oh, way better than me.
But earworms, and this is going to be totally silly and totally stupid, but I hear just a part of it and it's going through my head the whole time. Ready? What does the fox say? Ding 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 ding.
I love that song.
My brother-in-law's son loved that. And I found a little stuffed fox that bounced up and down on its legs that played that. For some reason, after I think it was only, 3 days after Christmas, it lost all its batteries. He said, "Yeah, I'll pay you back for that one someday."
So I have two major earworms. Before I get into them, before all of you that are listening fact check me and destroy me in the comments, I stand corrected. I completely forgot. I Drove All Night was originally done by Roy Orbison. Love that guy. Totally forgot about that. My earworms, in order, are first the Macarena. Took me a decade
Oh,
to get that song in my head, and then I had the misfortune of actually being on call and hearing it in the background, and then it's been stuck in my head ever since. And then the second, which, you know what, I'm going to own it and embrace it and say I actually do like the song because it's catchy, puts a smile on my face, is Rebecca Black Friday.
Oh,
shout out to Rebecca Black. She pulled out something viral for sure.
She did. And I know she got a lot of hate for it in school, but you know what? I got to say, that song got me through a lot of boring days in a cubicle back in my cubicle days. So it made Blue Friday tolerable.
So I'll toss out one more, and I'm so grateful that they don't play it anywhere ever. And it was Prodigy's Firestarter. And the only reason it was um, an, an earworm for me is because I went to Rockfest in Dallas. This was like back in '97, I want to say. And every other song, I kid you not, it was a mix between No Doubt, and then they would follow it up with Firestarter. Just back to back to back to back to back to back. I probably heard it 80 times that day. I kid you not. It burned into my soul. I never wanted to hear it again since I left there. And unfortunately, I have heard it a few times since, and it doesn't leave my head.
Overplayed, but still good. All right. Next one here. Let's do karaoke songs. What's the number one or number two karaoke songs?
Ooh.
For me, my jam back in my whiskey days was, and I don't know why. I actually don't know why, but Bonnie Tyler's "Holding On for a Hero." That one I just would always wail. It's a great way to get chicks too. What
I'm
about
not
you guys?
much of a singer, so but I always got called on to do like um, family tradition.
Yeah.
So that was, I'd get called on for that. If if I had when I had choices to do them, I was still doing country. I was doing rodeo or This Cowboy's Hat by Chris Ledoux. Great song. If you don't know it,
I
look it
think
up.
I think probably the songs that I've heard the most doing karaoke, because I don't sing either. I don't. But I would say Living on a Prayer is one that I hear a lot of people do. I would say a lot of people do Born to Run is the other one. Don't know why. Those are the ones that I think of.
You pulled up Bon Jovi, and the two songs that come to my mind from Bon Jovi right away are "Shot Through the Heart," of course,
No.
but also "Want It."
Yep. Dead or
The
Alive.
Dead or Alive, yeah, that's is it Dead or Alive? Is that the name of the song, or is "Want It" the name of the song?
I think it's Wanted.
I think it's Wanted, yeah.
But
Their
yeah,
Lives, that band that did spin me around. Um, speaking of Bon Jovi, Blaze of Glory, love that song,
Yeah.
but also love the cover that I don't think many people are aware of is by Jeffster from the TV show Chuck.
Oh, great show.
Yes.
Such a great show. Watching them, I know what you go ahead and say it. I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, the Blaze of Glory cover. If you guys have never seen the TV show Chuck, check out Jeffster, and just put in Blaze of Glory. It is hilarious. Wonderful cover.
The
Beautiful
other cover,
voices.
the other cover from Jeffster has to be Africa.
Yes.
Great
Absolutely.
performance. All right, what about crowd songs? You know what I'm saying? You're at the ball game, you're at the bar. What are they singing?
oh, um,
Don't say Sweet Caroline. Everyone knows that.
nope. Uh, oh my goodness. Um,
Freebird for me. My crowds are always Freebird.
Mine are gonna be oh my goodness, Toes in the Sand. Um,
Oh yeah.
Where's
That's
my
right.
salt? Lost shaker of salt.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett, thank you. I
Yeah, yeah.
could not. Um, and Alan Jackson did a tribute to Jimmy Buffett where he did that. But everyone, even at those awards, started screaming out those lines. The salt, the gosh darn salt. You know, uh, that's that's a crowd song to me.
Yeah. Well, here in Texas, I think probably the most recognized crowd song is by the by the great Garth Brooks. And that would be "Friends in Low Places."
Great song. You brought up Jimmy Buffett, and one of my favorite Jimmy Buffett songs is actually, I think it's underrated. Is A Pirate Looks at 40. And it's I don't know about you guys, but I grew up reading about Blackbeard and Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn and all that stuff. So Pirate Looks at 40 is just a song about a man that wants to be a pirate, and that was me as a kid. It was my oasis.
You know, I have to be honest. I don't know a lot of Jimmy Buffett songs. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Okay, he
Oh,
was an
you know
underrated guy.
Margaritaville, right?
Well, of course. I mean,
But when you were talking about Texas, I thought you were gonna bring up "Deep in the Heart of Texas."
yeah, but we're not usually singing that at the bar. We're usually singing that at the football game,
He
stomping
said
on the
crowd.
sidelines. Yeah.
Well, you know what I find amazing is none of us actually said Queen. We will rock you. I mean, let's face it, in the 90s, early 2000s, you couldn't go to a basketball game or any game in America without having We Will Rock You playing at some point.
I would agree.
In St. Louis at the Cardinals games, it was kind of funny. Um, the songs that they would play always seemed to be the song that showed up in the Beverly Hills Cop movies,
Axel
like The
F.
Heat Is On,
Oh yeah.
and the other one, which was always interesting for me.
Yeah. You talk about the one that's on the keyboard, the very simple do 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 do.
Yep.
That's actually called Axel F. is the name of the song. The only
Uh,
reason I know is that I wanted to play it once and I had to look it up and I was like, yes, I know Axel Foley. What's the name of the song? And it took me a minute to realize in my thick head that the name of the song is actually Axel F.
So controversial question.
Okay.
Da da da. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
oh, you jerk.
Hagar.
Hagar, totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would go with Hagar also. I mean, you had 5150, OU812, and For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Um, you know, those to me
it's
are quintessential Van Halen albums.
Yeah.
it's a heated debate because Roth, you have to admit, with all of his little jumps and all of his other little karate stuff, jujitsu stuff, he was a pretty cool frontman. But you know David's voice was better, and let's face it, he's got his own tequila brand, and he's a pretty freaking cool dude and less egotistical. So I'd say Roth all the way.
Yeah, I would agree with Roth. It was just had to ask a question. Most of the people that are probably listening to this don't even know who Van Halen is. Um,
I would
So
say,
listen to their
considering the band's name is Van Halen, I never really cared too much about the front man. I only cared about the man playing the six string like it was on fire. Um, Eddie Van Halen may be the greatest guitarist ever.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
And I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there in guitar like you're crazy, you don't know. Man, he was great for his time and what he was doing. I would say, yeah,
He created so many stuff, including tapping and everything. And let's face it, it was a band. He was able to perform on copious amounts of drugs and still have phenomenal solos. I mean, he did pass out every once in a while, but he was able to perform in the most obliterated state. And I gotta say, when they reunited to do the soundtrack to Twister, the original movie Twister. When they came to do that, uh, the music was phenomenal. Humans Being was such a hard rocking song, and Into the Wind was so beautiful and lyric, and just the instruments. I mean, I could talk all night about Van Halen. I mean, seriously.
now, talking about musicians, I'll tell you the musician that I admired when I was growing up, Rick Allen. And for those that don't know who that is, he was the or was is the drummer for Def Leppard.
oh yeah,
Our man.
In he lost his left arm in a car accident, but still worked with engineers, worked with people to develop drums that he could play with his foot so that he could continue to play. And he played. It wasn't, you know, just a mediocre play. He played those drums like any other drummer. I mean, I would say better than most drummers, but he was out there going for it. You know, uh, he had the nickname of Thunder God. So I mean, what can you say about that?
Exactly. I mean, Tommy Lee may have flipped upside down, which don't get me wrong, was really freaking cool, but to play with one arm is just phenomenal. Um, Speaking of drummers, Neil Peart, Rush. I love Rush. I think that they would still be playing if it weren't for Neil passing, but such a technical band. Um, so, big band. So, what about movie theme? We brought up a couple movies. What about actual movie themes that really just get you? What stands out? I guess for
Movies.
me, yeah, movie. I guess for me, like the first thing that comes to my mind, and I'm gonna kick myself for saying it, but you know what? It is um, Danger Zone. I gotta say, Top Gun, Danger Zone. And for
Uh,
me, it is only Danger Zone with the opening clip of Top Gun. I have to be watching and listening at the same time in order for it to do it for me.
I mean, I'm gonna say something here, and people are gonna be like, "What?" But the opening theme for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
The Alto Sparsh.
Yes.
I mean, that is just, you know,
Please.
So, and a lot of people may question my choices for the words that I'm about to have come out of my mouth and into this microphone. Um, but I would have to say the music from a movie, um, and I would have to say the entire soundtrack to The Sound of Music.
Oh,
Ju- Julie Andrews was one of the greatest vocalists of all times. I mean, she could hit like 6 or 7 octaves. She's stunning in what she could do, and talented to boot on top of it. Right? She not only she had the pipes and know how to use them, she knew how to be creative with them. And her placement into the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Sound of Music just brought it full circle into everything that it ever could have been. They tried to do it again and they couldn't do it just because she was that good.
nobody can recreate her. I mean, all of her movies are
Oh,
phenomenal,
yeah.
and
Mary Poppins, I mean, come on.
you know. But if I think of songs from movies, because you said theme, but I'm gonna go to just from when I was younger. You know, you got to have that right song to put on that mixtape for that girl, right? Uh, Brian Adams, everything I do for you. I can still sit here and sing that song, but I liked Brian Adams even before that. With Summer '69, that's another great song that just has a good beat to it.
phenomenal. So we've covered a lot of different types of music, um, all of which pretty popular. What about obscurities, things that really aren't in the mainstream, at least in North America, that you guys might like? For me, uh, some of the things that I like are European, um, Indian, a whole bunch of different genres. One band that comes to my mind is a Dutch band called Dread Zone was around for a very long time. And if you've never heard of Dread Zone, I highly encourage you to listen to either Little Britain or Captain Dread. Great music, especially if you like jazz or any kind of techno or anything like that. But what obscure music do you guys like?
From time to time, I like to listen to like a Celtic music, or Irish tavern songs. Just you know, what do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you, those, you know,
Kind of the
that kind of stuff.
acapella kind.
Well, usually there's music along with it, but just that kind of older music, just because we've got to remember it type thing. And not a lot of people listen to it, but
Man,
what?
that's a tough call. I mean, because there's so many people out there that do so many awesome things. I mean, I like a lot of bass players. And a lot of people don't look at, the bass taking the lead side of things a lot of times. Victor Wooten is one of my favorite bass players out there, and I've seen him live a few times, but not really obscure. God, about the most obscure thing that I've listened to was really, Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk was obscure to me, or Bjork. Bjork was obscure.
Work was good
Yep.
if you're in the right mood. Um, I don't know. This is an oldie, and he was really more of a live performer versus an album guy. And if you're not really into like the operatic scene or the pianist scene, you don't really know. Victor Borg, he was uh he was a great pianist, but he also had fun. So if you watched him on stage, I'm sure you can find him on YouTube. But he would make playing the piano hilarious. He would basically bring in jokes and magic tricks into playing, which would just be phenomenal.
So Hillbilly, you were talking you're more of a metal person. Have you ever listened to any of the cute metal that comes out of like Japan? So,
Yes. Yes.
and for those that don't know, cute metal's kind of like heavy metal mixed with anime and horror tropes.
Yeah.
Um, but it's an interesting listen, and you know, I actually was got introduced to it through an anime, so it was just one of those things. I don't listen to it often, but every once in a while something will pop up and I'm like, okay, I gotta hear this full song. Where is it? you know.
Oh, I got into cute metal by accident. I was listening to Kirsten Dunst's cover of Turning Japanese, and it popped up as a suggestion on YouTube, and it demolished my entire day. I spent 8 hours listening to cute metal, and it's fun. I mean, if for those of you listening, if you've not seen it or listened to it, it is fun to watch.
I can't say that I have heard too much cute. Yeah.
Do you all remember Anna Kendrick doing the Cups song?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
When I'm Gone.
Yep.
Isn't that what it's called or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of cool to me, the way that haul came about and how heavy that took off.
But didn't that launch her career?
It did. Well, I mean,
Got her
I think
sh-
it launched her more into her singing side of things.
it did. She was already a good actress. Ooh, dropping back to the obscure side of things, something popped into my head. I got a chance to see the Kodo Drummers back in SMU around 2003, 2004. Kodo Drummers. Sorry, took me a minute. Lack of oxygen.
I
the
can understand
Japanese
that.
drummers.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and if you
Dragon Force. You
Dragon,
all know
Yeah.
who
yeah, I
they
know
are?
that name. Yes, yes.
Great melodic band.
What'd you say, Hillbilly? Sorry.
Great melodic band. Um, totally. And actually, speaking of Dragon Force, before Dragon Force, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name? I actually own three of their albums. Um, Melodic rock band. Blanking on it. Underrated.
You're
It'll
thinking
come to
about their album or their
the name of the band. I'm forgetting the name of the band. I think they did Pull Me Under. Dream Theater. That's what I'm thinking of.
Dream Theater.
Yeah,
Nice,
before Dragon Force, it was Dream Theater.
nice. I haven't listened to Dream Theater in a long time. Wow.
Yeah, but I completely forgot about them for a while.
Now we were talking earlier before we started this, and I got stuck on a song that I couldn't remember the name of, and we finally found it. But Enigma's "Return to Innocence."
Mm.
Classic
I
song.
I use that song a lot in my younger days. um, it was a very good song for certain times.
Indeed, indeed, it could definitely set the mood. I think it still can.
Yeah, probably could.
I agree. Mhm.
So
Now,
what?
do you guys listen to much country still?
I
Uh,
do. I
I
listen to.
listen to older country.
Some of the newer country that's coming out, it people say is pushing limits, whatever. It's music. I enjoy music. I want to listen to it. But some of the songs that I've heard that just rock me to, like I understand where this is coming from. Like Hardy does a song called "Wait in the Truck." Have you guys heard that one?
I have not.
I have not. Oh.
So basically, guy pulls, guy finds a woman on the side of the road, and she's basically had the snot beaten out of her,
Mm.
and he asks, basically where she lives, and he goes there and tells her to wait in the truck, and he goes inside and takes care of the problem, and then waits for the cops to show up. And it's a very interesting song for me in the most part because I could see me doing something like that, you know. But the other one that really has kind of just you listen to it and it'll just take you to your toes, man. Is Jelly Rolls Save Me?
Oh wow, Jelly Roll.
When I first saw him, I'm like, this. There's no way this dude's doing country. I fell into the classic trap of judging a book by its cover, and he has that soul to him. You look at him, and then he starts singing. You're like, holy, where did that come from?
So there,
Yeah.
with country music, it's got such a benefit of you don't necessarily have to be the greatest singer if you've got the lyrics to back it up, right? And there is one country music player that I have listened to recently. Do you know who Oliver Anthony is?
Hmm.
He wrote a song.
I
He wrote a song called "Richmond North of Richmond." And if you know where Richmond, Virginia is and what's north of it, uh, you can guess what it's about. Um, but it is a newer country song that touched me. I actually don't think he has a. I don't know if he's got an album yet, or if he's even managed. But highly recommend check out Oliver Anthony.
so just from country songs, hillbilly. What's a recent or newer country song that's really that you like to listen to?
Recent. Okay, all right. We're gonna go Ghost Riders in the Sky, but that's old school. So recent country or kind of recent. Ugh, it's a tough one. I don't really listen to a lot of recent country, but
That's okay.
I I would have to say, um, I would have to say Brad Paisley. Um,
Okay.
and actually, it's going to be a toss up between two Brad Paisley songs. So Brad Paisley, "Mud on the Tires," love that song. And then Brad Paisley's, he did this with Alison Krauss, "Whiskey Lullaby."
Love
Uh,
Alison
Whiskey
Krauss.
Lullaby. Oh,
yes,
that's an
yes,
amazing song.
yes. For those of you that have never heard "Whiskey Lullaby," depending on your life circumstances, you might need to get a tissue box if you listen to it or if you watch the music video. But it is a great, great song. Um, Hands down, definitely recommend it. And then likewise, if you've never heard Alison Krauss, go listen to Alison Krauss and use Union Station. Fantastic blues. Fantastic bluegrass music.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
she did a worked with Fish on a song too. That's
That's right.
on it was either Pitcher of Nectar or Billy Breeze, I believe, was the album. Interesting fact. I believe it was Billy. It was either Billy Breeze or Rift was Rolling Stone's worst album of the year. And if it was Rift, then I don't know what they were smoking, because that's one of my favorite albums that they ever put out. It may be my favorite album from Fish, studio wise. So
And I forgot a song when we're talking about songs that touch the heartstrings, and uh, the song "When the World Stopped Turning." I, I was I was in I was in the military at that time, and yeah, that song can really make you think. A lot of people had songs that came out. Um, I'm more along the lines of Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue,
mm,
but When the World Stopped Turning still makes you stop and think about that day and about the days that followed. So,
yeah.
Brutal time. Brutal time.
well,
You
Hillbilly,
know,
you want to lead us into the closing statements here?
heck yeah, I will lead us. So, if you guys couldn't tell, for those of you that are listening, we love music, and we would love to hear from you. What are your favorite band, favorite songs, all genres? No prejudice here. Music is open to the interpretation of the listener. So, thank you very much for listening to our ramblings of our songs and what we like. We hope you all have a great time listening to this episode and our former episodes and future episodes. So with that, I am Hillbilly, and I hope you all have a great evening.
I'm Hoosier, and you all keep listening to that music and hopefully keep listening to us. Have a great night.
This is Guy Actual signing off. Thank you all. I love you.